Science allows us to communicate across the seas and fly above the clouds. To cure disease and understand the cosmos. But those same discoveries can be turned into ever more efficient killing machines. The wars of the modern age teach this truth. Hiroshima teaches this truth. Technological progress without an equivalent progress in human institutions can doom us. The scientific revolution that led to the splitting of an atom requires a moral revolution, as well. That is why we come to this place. We stand here, in the middle of the city, and force ourselves to imagine the moment the bomb fell. We force ourselves to feel the dread of children confused by what they see. We listen to a silent cry. We remember all the innocents killed across the arc of that terrible war. And the wars that came before, and the wars that would follow. Mere words cannot give voice to such suffering, but we have a shared responsibility to look. Directly into the eye of history and ask what we must do differently to curb such suffering again. Someday the voices of the Hibakusha will no longer be with us to bear witness. But the memory of the morning of August 6, 1945 must never fade. That memory allows us to fight complacency. It fuels our moral imagination. It allows us to change. And since that fateful day, we have made choices that give us hope. The United States and Japan forged not only an alliance, but a friendship that has won far more for our people than we could ever claim through war. The nations of Europe built a union that replaced battlefields with bonds of commerce and democracy. Oppressed peoples and nations won liberation. An international community established institutions and treaties that work to avoid war and aspire to restrict and roll back. And ultimately eliminate the existence of nuclear weapons. Still, every act of aggression between nations, every act of terror and corruption and cruelty and oppression that we see around the world shows our work is never done. We may not be able to eliminate man's capacity to do evil, so nations and the alliances that we've formed, must possess the means to defend ourselves. But among those nations like my own that hold nuclear stockpiles, we must have the courage to escape the logic of fear, and pursue a world without them. We may not realize this goal in my lifetime. But persistent effort can roll back the possibility of catastrophe. We can chart a course that leads to the destruction of these stockpiles. We can stop the spread to new nations, and secure deadly materials from fanatics. And yet that is not enough. For we see around the world today how even the crudest rifles, and barrel bombs can serve up violence on a terrible scale. We must change our mindset about war itself to prevent conflict through diplomacy. And strive to end conflicts after they've begun, to see our growing interdependence as a cause for peaceful cooperation and not violent competition. To define our nations not by our capacity to destroy, but by what we build. And perhaps above all, we must reimagine our connection to one another as members of one human race. For this, too, is what makes our species unique. We're not bound by genetic code to repeat the mistakes of the past. We can learn. We can choose. We can tell our children a different story, one that describes a common humanity. One that makes war less likely and cruelty less easily accepted. We see these stories in the Habakusha, the woman who forgave a pilot who flew the plane that dropped the atomic bomb. Because she recognized that what she really hated was war itself. The man who sought out families of Americans killed here, because he believed their loss was equal to his own. My own nation's story began with simple words: all men are created equal. And endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights, including life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Realizing that ideal has never been easy, even within our own borders, even among our own citizens. But staying true to that story is worth the effort. It is an ideal to be strived for, an ideal that extends across continents, and across oceans. The irreducible worth of every person, the insistence that every life is precious. The radical and necessary notion that we are part of a single human family, that is the story that we all must tell. That is why we come to Hiroshima. So that we might think of people we love, the first smile from our children in the morning. The gentle touch from a spouse over the kitchen table, the comforting embrace of a parent we can thank. of those things and know that those same precious moments took place here 71 years ago. Those who died, they are like us. Ordinary people understand this. I think. They do not want more war. They would rather that the wonders of science be focused on improving life, and not eliminating it. When the choices made by nations, when the choices made by leaders reflect this simple wisdom, then the lesson of Hiroshima is done. The world was forever changed here. But today, the children of the city will go through their day in peace. What a precious thing that is. It is worth protecting, and then extending to every child. That is the future. We can choose a future in which Hiroshima and Nagasaki are. Known not as the dawn of atomic warfare, but as the start of our own moral awakening. Barack Obama. Speech to the Hispanic Chamber of Conference on Education. Delivered March 10, 2010. Please, everybody have a seat. Thank you for the wonderful introduction, David. And thank you for the great work that you are doing each and every day. And I appreciate such a warm welcome. Some of you I've gotten a chance to know, many of you I'm meeting for the first time. But the spirit of the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the desire to create jobs and provide opportunity. To people who sometimes have been left out, that's exactly what this administration is about. That's the essence of the American dream. And so I'm very proud to have a chance to speak with all of you. You know, every so often, throughout our history, a generation of Americans bears the responsibility. Of seeing this country through difficult times and protecting the dream of its founding for posterity. This is a responsibility that's fallen to our generation. Meeting it will require steering our nation's economy. Through a crisis unlike anything that we have seen in our time. In the short term, that means jump-starting job creation and restarting lending. And restoring confidence in our markets and our financial system. But it also means taking steps that not only advance our recovery, but lay the foundation for lasting, shared prosperity. I know there's some who believe we can only handle one challenge at a time. And they forget that Lincoln helped lay down the Transcontinental Railroad and passed the Homestead Act and created the National Academy of Sciences in the midst of Civil War. Likewise, President Roosevelt didn't have the luxury of choosing. Between ending a depression and fighting a war, he had to do both. President Kennedy didn't have the luxury of choosing between civil rights and sending us to the moon. And we don't have the luxury of choosing between getting our economy moving now and rebuilding it over the long term. America will not remain true to its highest ideals, and America's place as a global economic leader will. Be put at risk unless we not only bring down the crushing cost of healthcare and transform the way we use energy. But also if we don't do a far better job than we've been doing of educating our sons and daughters. Unless we give them the knowledge and skills they need in this new and changing world. For we know that economic progress and educational achievement have always gone hand in hand in America. The land-grant colleges and public high schools transformed the economy of an industrializing nation. The GI Bill generated a middle class that made America's economy unrivaled in the 20th century. Investments in math and science under President Eisenhower gave new opportunities to young scientists and engineers all across the country. It made possible somebody like a Sergey Brin to attend graduate school and found an upstart company called Google that would forever change our world. The source of America's prosperity has never been merely how ably we accumulate wealth. But how well we educate our people. This has never been more true than it is today. In a 21st century world where jobs can be shipped wherever there's an internet connection. Where a child born in Dallas is now competing with a child in New Delhi, where your best job qualification is not what you do. But what you know, education is no longer just a pathway to opportunity and success, it's a prerequisite for success. That's why workers without a 4-year degree have borne the brunt of recent layoffs, Latinos most of all. That's why, of the 30 fastest growing occupations in America, half require a bachelor's degree or more. By 2016, 4 out of every 10 new jobs will require at least some advanced education or training.